Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Chaos Battletome Blades of Khorne. This is the latest Blades of Khorne Battletome, adding new rules and units to the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Khorne forces for the Grand Alliance of Chaos. So today we're going to take a look at the two books together side by side, mostly just focusing on the new stuff. So the new scenery piece, the new not endless spells, Khorne's Wrath manifestations, and then just like point costs and battalions and stuff like that. It's the primary stuff that's changed. I'm not going to jump into unit by unit. We'll flip through and look at them, but it would just take forever to compare everything. And for the most part, if you guys want to check out all the units themselves, you can just go to the Warhammer Age of Sigmar app right now. And the day this comes out, they will be updated. So you can just go look at them yourselves. You don't have to look at this video to do it. We're just going to focus on the stuff that's not in there. So we'll show you the books, sit down, and flip through right now. All right, so here we are with the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Blades of Khorne book and the old one over here to one side. You can see here brand new cover with Khorne, I think his name is. He's the special character from the Warhammer Age of Sigmar starter set, the first edition one, and everybody's favorite Mighty Lord of Khorne. So let's crack her open and see what we got. I'm going to do my best to not offend anyone with my page turning, because that was the thing last time. I got in trouble for flattening pages. People didn't like that too much.
I'll do it this time.
You'll do this to just smooth them out and like freak people out. So yeah, so the big key here is we're going to focus on things like the Warscroll battalions, all your relics and like traitsy stuff, and then the point costs and stuff at the end, because we're not gonna and the new terrain and stuff. We're not going to focus on stuff that you guys can see in the app. You guys can go look at that stuff for yourself. And you'll be way better at picking out, if you play Blades of Khorne, you'll be way better at picking out things that have changed than we are as we just like flip through 2 books. So, we've got all of our usual good stuff. The Blood God and his armies. Too long didn't read version. Khorne likes to fight. He doesn't like people that don't fight. He hates wizards. And he rewards violence and slaughter. He's trying to make a giant throne of skulls because I guess his futon's broken. Talking about how and where Khorne lives. It's a pretty dark place. If you've ever read the background for the first edition starter set for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, there's a lot of cannibalism. Not a lot grows in the realm of fire where they are in that first one, and so there's a lot of just bloodbound, like hunting down other humans and eating them. How do you start worshiping Khorne? Armies of Unreason, Aeons of Slaughter, it just keeps going, and all the way through into things like the demon engines, like the Skull Cannon and the Blood Thrones. Fleshhounds, Karanak, the special character Fleshhound, all the Chosen of Khorne, how they become big fights.
Valkia.
Champions, Valkia. I do like this page, because this is very, so this page right here is very first edition Realms of Chaos, where they start talking about the different like demonic weapons and like how they work and what they do. Like a Blade of Blood is given to a exalted bloodletter, a herald, and like how it's different from a Hellblade, which is like a regular little dude has.
Yeah, bloodletter.
Yeah, and the Gorax, whose axe only becomes sharpened by slamming it against bone and armor. It's like he sharpens it by hitting people with it, basically, which is pretty cool. How the color of Khorne works, how the armor of Scorn works, which is like a demon's armor, a Wrath-forged axe and a bloodletter, a gore cleaver, just all the different like stuff. And then these are Scarbrand's axes up here, Carnage and Slaughter. And even the drawing style is kind of mimicking Ian Miller, the old artist from the 80s Realms of Chaos books, and his just like black and white pen and ink, very scraggly. If you ever see an Ian Miller tree, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very scraggly tree. Because
you would swing that axe, and all those little bits would just fly off of it. They would just immediately break as soon as you hit something.
Except they're held together by chaos.
They're held together by willpower.
And so therefore they just murder everything they touch. And the colors of Khorne, protecting the Hellhounds and stuff. Some of the great new models here, them fighting the Idneth this time around. So you can see some of the stuff in the background too, like this big blood, the big blood tower, basically.
Altar. Yeah,
and you can sit a priest on there, and he can summon all the big wrath items. Because they don't get endless spells; they get manifestations of Khorne's wrath. And just like the other prayers, they pray for them basically to manifest into reality, which is pretty cool. Your color section, Scarbrands.
Bloodletters.
Yeah, Bloodletters. The new Skull Taker, and he's... The Warhammer community guys have jokingly called him the most Warhammer model ever because he has the highest skull count per miniature, I guess, of any Warhammer model. I guess it's a joke.
Is that true, though?
Yeah,
it feels like it's not true.
They joked about him. That he has the highest skull count? I don't know.
Because the back of his cape
is literally made from skulls. Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's 100% skulls. And the skulls were slightly bigger on the old Skull Taker, so I think that
That's what it is.
That's probably why they made them slightly smaller. So he's a higher skull count now. Skulls per square inch.
I'm thinking of like the Fortress of Skulls, like that.
Oh, just the Realm of Battle table had those like pits of skulls and the cracks and stuff. I'm pretty sure there's a Realm of Battle tower that has more skulls than Skulltaker. But if we're talking about just like 28mm miniatures,
maybe man-sized ones.
He's up there for sure.
Outside of just covering your base in skulls.
That's right. Yeah, dude's got a lot of skulls. He definitely is in the contest of being the most Warhammer miniature ever. If we're just going for skulls per square inch. Scarbrand and the Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster. It's all the different Bloodthirsters. This is all one kit for those of you who don't play Khorne. You can make all these Bloodthirsters out of the one. And then they've grown on me over time, but these like Khorne chariot things are so weirdly 80s. Like so the thing is that like back then there's a certain amount of kitsch to like the 80s art style of Chaos, where like there's these weird rounded kind of like proboscis-y, you know, like slug monsters and crazy Chaos stuff. And they're definitely very chaosy. Like I don't know what this is made of, but it's half machine, half engine. There's skulls popping at everything. Yeah, they're still in the game, and they're still hilarious. They fit a certain niche for sure. If you're a fan of the 80s kitsch Chaos stuff, they are still in there.
Trying to find a way to make a gun in Khorne. Yeah. This is their solution.
Make it launch skulls off of a motorcycle that Lobo would be embarrassed to drive.
Yeah. They have blood crushers, though.
They have blood crushers, yeah. And the new blood crushers
juggers.
are actually cool.
Juggernauts,
yeah. The blood crushers are the name of the guys riding the juggernauts if they are a certain thing. The blood crater, see, he's got a lot of skulls too, but I guess this is just a giant spine, so it doesn't really count. There's a lot of skulls in these miniatures, all the plastics. If you have a copy of Gore Chosen, you have most of these. And they kept Skyla. I was surprised by that. They kept Skyla on for
He got a new sculpt.
Well, he got a new sculpt at the end times, didn't he?
So did Valkia. Like all around then.
I'm just saying, they've kept all these. They've kept them.
They decided to just get away with the idea that she has long black hair, which is like one of her defining features in every book she was ever written in.
I think the idea is that
she
becomes more demonic.
No, this was after she was already a demon.
Was
this
it?
Is like the blood raven, blood crow. There's a short story in one of the old ones where they go and like they break open a bunch of dwarves.
Gotcha.
They're keep, then the dwarves.
I meant that literally. That wasn't a Turnip's phrase.
Yeah.
They break open a bunch of dwarves. This guy's got a lot of skulls too per square inch because he's like full of skulls. He's basically a demon that's a pile of skulls that like kind of it formed around it. So you can see there's like skulls popping on everybody too. So he's definitely in the running. These are both fine cast though, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so I'm surprised they're still in the
I've wanted to get the Valkia forever.
For a long time.
I just had to do a head swap, and then I'm like, forget the whole plan. We'll come back. We'll come back when we go do a Khorne Demon Army.
I do love this guy. I think he's.
I have that guy.
He was in Metal before. He's a great miniature. I think he's just Goodwin. Actually, I think that's probably why I like him. So he was just Goodwin with Juan Diaz as a sculptor, and this is still from the time before 3D sculpting. So this was all done by hand too, which is awesome. Not before it existed, but before it was being done for character pieces for sure. And all your big Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers, Cool's Killers. Some painting section.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, and your models will look like this. Paint scheme?
1, 2, 3 heavy metal. Actually, to be fair, that's 1 through 8. That's not quite
it's
1, 2, 3 heavy metal. There is 8 steps there, and all of them look fairly feasible. There isn't a step here where you jump from like prime
draw
to heavy
2 circles.
Metal.
Now you have an owl.
Yeah, exactly. And again, just like the last book we did, there's a shout out here to Warhammer TV, which I think is awesome. Actually, that these are actually in the books now too for getting help on painting stuff. They usually do a really good series of like quick tips where they amalgamate them all whenever a book like this comes out to show like the basics, the things you're gonna be doing a lot of, like how you do the skin, how you do
highlighting is the big one in this whole army. All throughout this is going to be picking out little like
reds and blacks and golds, and then some skin tones too. I do like this unhealthy skin tone that they do with all the scarification and stuff. It's really cool. Bases. And we're in Armies of Khorne. Alright, so Allegiance abilities, Boundless Might, still got Blood Tithe. Every time you kill a unit, you get a Blood Tithe points. You can spend Blood Tithe points either on rewards, and it's cool, there's kind of 2 tables here. The rewards table is all about a thing you can just give to a model, like a thing you can do with the points. And I think that's to represent the fact that you might not have extra models in your collection to summon with.
Right.
So if you don't have demons, better. That's right. Yeah. You can make models better without having to have new models, as opposed to just bringing in new models. So, Bloody Exemplar, get a command point, so you can just trade them up 1/1. Spell Eater Curse, choose this reward immediately after a wizard has cast a spell anywhere in the battlefield. Just unbind it for 2. Sorry, yeah, it was for 2. It usually has a cost. Yeah, the points cost is right there. So they're going up like in order. I was confused as to whether that was just a counter. It was like a dice roll or something. Murderlust, pick a friendly Khorne unit that can make a normal move. If it's within 12 inches of enemy model, it can either make a normal move or attempt to make a charge move. So you want to bring something to combat during someone else's turn. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it just escalates.
Yeah, it just gets better.
With the top one being pick... you can choose it once per battle after do any unmodified roll of a hit with a melee weapon by a friendly Khorne unit is 6. It scores 2 hits instead of 1.
Yeah, do double hits.
Yeah.
And it's for the whole table. That costs you 8.
It costs you 8. No, it's the big one. Like, that's your huge...
4 is pick a friendly Khorne unit within 3 inches of the enemy. That Khorne unit can make a pile 1 move and then attack with all its melee weapons. That one's pretty cool. Like, imagine you just have Scarbrand do that for 4 points.
Right.
And just kill a bunch of stuff. Brass Skull Meteor. Pick 1 unit anywhere in the battlefield. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, roll a die for each enemy within 8 inches. On a 3+, they take 1 mortal wound. And on a 6, they take D3 instead. It's kind of like the Scepter on the Lord Celestin Prime. Relentless Fury.
6 is when you lose 6. A guy, he fights before he goes away.
Yeah, so you get that's a normal ability for Blood Warriors, but you can get it for until your next hero phase every time a friendly Khorne model is slain. So it's the whole table basically. And then Crimson Rain, you can choose 7. You can choose their sword once per battle immediately after you do so. And at the start of each of your subsequent hero phases, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to each friendly Khorne unit on the battlefield.
Just starts raining blood.
Ugh. From a last red sky. Yes, that's right. Slayer begins to play softly in the background. And then you still have your summon stuff. And it defines the adding models to a unit down here too. So you get a Bloodthirster of any type for 8, except for Scarbrand, obviously. 20 Bloodletters for 7, 15 Bloodletters for 6, 10 Fleshhounds for 6, a Skull Cannon for 5, 3 Blood Crushers for 5, Herald of Khorne on a Blood Throne for 4, 10 Bloodletters for 4, 5 Fleshhounds for 3, a Skullmaster, Herald of Khorne for 3, Bloodmaster, Herald of Khorne for 2, and 5 Bloodletters for 2 as well. Then you have your Locus of Fury. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Khorne Demon units while they are wholly within 12 inches of any friendly Khorne Demon heroes, or wholly within 60 inches of any Greater Demons of Khorne. So all of your Greater Demons and Heralds basically extend to reroll 1's aura for other demons, which is just a ability basically, which is awesome. And then your Slaughter Hosts, you get the Reapers of Vengeance and the Bloodlords, which are new. They were Warscroll battalions in the previous book, and then you got the Gore-Tide and the Skull Fiend tribe, which were the ones in the previous book. Sorry, the Reapers ones are new. The other 2 are from the old book, but they were Warscroll battalions. Command traits: Arch Slaughterer. Each time an attack made by the general with a melee weapon slays an enemy hero or monster, you receive 2 blood tithe points instead of 1. That's pretty cool. Unrivaled, and these are for Khorne mortal heroes only. Unrivaled Battle Lust. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, if this general is within 12 inches of an enemy units, but not within 3 inches of any enemy units, you can attempt to make a charge move. So basically, your guy can charge in during your opponent's charge phase, which is pretty cool. Slaughterborn. You can reroll rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this general, so just reroll all of them. Hungry for Glory. You can roll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by this general when they target an enemy hero or monster. Berserker Lord. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this general, and a 5+ is ignored. Violent Urgency. You can reroll charge rolls for friendly Khorne units that are wholly within 12 inches of this general while the charge is being made. Sorry, when the charge roll is made. That's pretty cool. Being able to just like push your guys into combat. Then you got Bloodbound heroes only. So this is if you... all of the tribes, basically, like the Bloodbound, the Skull Fiends, all those guys, they got their own lists as well. Actually, no, maybe only the Bloodbound did. Did the Skull Fiends get it? Bloodbound.
They have short ones under themselves.
Dude, that's right. They get their own unique one they have to take. That's right.
I wonder...
I didn't see them. I don't think they are.
We didn't get all the way there yet. I was just wondering about this one here, where it's unmodified wound roll for an attack made by a melee weapon is 6. That attack inflicts a number of mortal wounds on its target equal to the melee weapon's damage characteristic of the attack, and the attack sequence ends. So do not make a wound or save roll.
Yeah.
But it's on the wound roll. So do I not continue to make wound rolls?
I don't know. Well, I guess we get there when we get there.
I'm imagining that this was supposed to say hit originally.
Do not make a save roll, or not a wound roll.
Yeah, because you did it on the wound. Yeah.
That's probably just a piece of type.
Because re-rolling ones to hit all the time, and then if 6 is just auto mortal wounded, your damage would be pretty great. Be
silly, and that's on demon heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, well that means all your big guys. Like that's gonna go on Scarbrand. Why not?
He can't take one.
He has a built-in one.
That's right.
That's right.
So anyway, Khorne Bloodbound Heroes. Arch Slaughter. Each time an attack made by this general with a melee weapon slays an enemy hero or monster. So these are the same. Gets 2 Blood Tides instead of 1. Unrivaled Battle is the same. Slaughterborn is the same. Mark of the Cannibal, because the Bloodbound are all eating people. At the end of each combat phase, if any enemy models were slain by this general's attacks in that combat phase, you can heal a wound. Bloodsworn, while friendly Khorne mortal units are wholly within 60 inches of the general, they can use his general's bravery instead of their own. And Disciple of Khorne, add 2 to the attack characteristic of this general's melee weapon. And you've got Demon Stuff. They also have Arch Slaughter, Unrivaled Battlelust, and Slaughterborn, just like these other 2 over here. But then they also get Rage Unchained, add 1 to the attack characteristics of this general's melee weapon. Accept Aspect of Death. If this enemy unit fails a battle shock test within 6 inches of the general, add D3 to the number of models that flee. Because he's just 8 scary. Inches.
Yep.
Yeah. Everything's 8s and 16s in this book, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be. It's got to be the number of Khorne. And then the one you just talked about, the Devastating Blow. If this unmodified wound roll for this attack is a 6, then yeah,
it's mortal wounds instead of the normal damage.
Which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a typo in there saying don't make her wound roll.
Yeah.
But you've already made the wound roll.
The phase ends, don't make wound or saves. Okay.
Then you got Artifacts of Power down here for Murderous Artifacts for Khorne Mortal Heroes. These are the knots. So this is Mortal Hero, Demon Hero, Bloodbound Hero. This one's Khorne Mortal Heroes only. And that was command traits as Artifacts of Power.
Right.
Heartseeker, pick one of the bear's melee weapons. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with this weapon. That's pretty cool. Caller of Contempt, the bearer can attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase if they were a wizard. In addition, the bearer can attempt to dispel 1 endless spell at the start of your hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. So it's both. So you can unbind and also unbind during his own magic phase.
He counts as a little wizard. Yep. That makes sense.
Well, he doesn't cast, but he still gets done by the endless spell.
Yeah,
Pretty cool. Blood Drinker, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons at the end of the combat phase. If the attacks made by this weapon caused a wound or mortal wound, allocated to an enemy unit that was not negated, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to the bearer. So you could, if you had a cannibal, you could heal D3 plus 1 wounds with Mark of the Cannibal and Blood Drinker together, which is pretty cool. And then Gore Cleaver, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, improve the rend characteristic of the weapon by 1. In addition, if the unmodified wound roll for an attack with this weapon is 6, double the damage characteristic. Oh, but they can't go together because it's demons and mortals.
Yep.
That would be silly.
Yep. No, it's 3 goes to 6 mortal wounds.
Baby scar round. And then the Crimson Plate, you can reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks target the bearer. Blood Rune, sorry. Each time attack made by the bearer with a melee weapon slays an enemy hero or monster, you receive an additional blood tithe point. So you could, if you did that one and are slaughtered, you could get 3 for everything you kill.
Every hero and monster, yeah.
Because they're both proc up hero and monster. So yeah, you get 3 blood tithe points.
Whenever you kill a hero or monster.
Crazy.
Yep. You can ramp that up pretty quick.
Yep. Especially fighting like goblins. Go after like
you gotta get to their characters.
I'm just saying, you just run into the Goblin-Palooza and just kill all 5 of them and get 15 blood points. Be like, whoa, here comes almost 2 bloodthirsters.
Yep.
You got Banners of Khorne for Bloodbound Heroes with totems. This would be like your what's his name, the big fella, the
Trog Boss,
Bloodsecrator, Trog Boss.
What game are we talking about?
What are you talking about even? You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by melee weapons by friendly Khorne units that are within 12 inches of the bearer. So you can make him into a baby of the generals, basically, which is pretty cool. Banner of Wrath, in the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 8 inches on a 4 plus D3 mortal wounds. That's pretty cool. And then Banner of Blood, you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Khorne units if they're wholly within 12 inches of the bearer when the charge roll is made. Trophies of War. The Skull Helm of Khorne, this is Bloodbound Heroes only, and this is Bloodbound with Totem only, but the only Totem I can think of is the Bloodbound one. The Bloodsecrator, he's got the Bloodbound keyword. You get the Skull Helm of Khorne, subtract 2 from the Bravery characteristic of enemy units while they're within 8 inches of the bearer. The Blood-Forged Armor, roll a dice each time you allocate a mortal wound to the bearer on a 5 plus it's ignored. That's 5 plus wound shrug. There's a bunch of ways to buy that, but there's none actually built in here to most of the units. The Brazen Rune, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer that was inflicted by a spell. On a 2 plus, it's ignored. In addition, once per battle, the bearer can attempt to unbind 1 spell in the same way as a wizard. Or attempt to dispel 1 endless spell at the start of your hero phase if they're a wizard. They can do it once per game, basically. And then Blade of Endless Bloodshed, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons and improve its rend by 1. Mark of the Destroyer, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 2 to its attack characteristics. Oof, that's good. And then Talisman of Burning Blood. Add 1 to the run rolls for friendly Khorne units wholly within 12 inches of the bearer when the run roll is made. In addition, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Khorne units wholly within 12 of the bearer when the charge roll is made. Yeah, so one to run and charge. That's pretty cool. Demon weapons over here. Khorne demons only. Argath the King. Oh my god, they all have names. Oh, that's cool because they would all have names because they would all have demons bound into them.
Right.
Because that's the whole jam basically with demonic weapons is it's a lesser demon that these guys have like defeated that's then been like bound into the sword, basically made into a slave.
Yep.
So you've got Argath the King of Blades. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Change the hit characteristic of it to 2+ when it targets a hero. That's pretty cool. Death. You give that to a Bloodthirster because it's a demon hero.
I wonder if that gets around like negative mods because you're setting it to 2.
Yes, because you're changing the characteristic to 2. So it wouldn't get around. It wouldn't get around the mods because it's changing the characteristic.
It would just set
profile.
that 2. Yeah. Right.
You'd mod it off the 2 basically. Death Dealer. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Improve the rend by 1. Kartoth the Bloodhunger. At the start of the combat, imagine having to tell your opponent this is his artifact is Kartoth the Bloodhunger, and having to like try and describe what that is. At the start of the combat phase, roll a dice on a 4+. The bearer fights at the start of the combat phase before anyone else fights. The bearer cannot fight again in the combat phase unless an ability or spell lets them do it more than once. The Hellfire Blade, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by this is a 6, it inflicts 1 mortal wound on top of it, doing its normal damage. And then the Harvester of Skulls, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 inch to the range, so 1 to the attack characteristic of the weapon. So that was 1 inch to the range there. Foe's Bane, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Once per turn, you can reroll a failed hit roll or 1 failed wound roll for an attack made with that weapon. That's a sleeper right there.
Yep.
I really like that.
Any 1 reroll per phase, per round.
And having to be able to flex in between 2 different things, too. Because you might just hit with everything and not get a reroll, but then not wound with everything. So that's actually a pretty cool ability.
Because you're going to have it on a big demon hero. Who's either going to be really accurate or really woundy, or maybe both.
Exactly, yeah. Well, a lot of the big Bloodthirsters, their weapons hit on force.
Yeah.
And having them all of a sudden either hit on 2s or get earn a reroll is a huge deal. Especially because they all have the Locus of Power.
Where they're
so they all
already
2s rolling 1s.
Yeah.
If they're within range of another 1, I think. I don't think they can do it to themselves. Let's double check what Locus of Power says.
You're always within yourself. That's
true, but unless it says other model, right? You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Khorne demon units while they are within 12 inches of friendly Khorne demon heroes. Yep, you're fine. You can reroll 1s yourself all the time.
There you go. So give yourself the hit on 2+.
Yeah, and reroll 1s. and find some other way to reroll wounds.
Yep.
Demonic Adornments for Khorne demon heroes, so your special armors and stuff. The Crimson Crown, once per battle, the bearer can use command ability on the Warscroll without a command point. That's pretty cool. It's a free command point, basically. Although you can trade Blood Tithe points for command points, so I feel like you've already got the ability to basically buy
command points
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you need those for something else.
Because that was not once per battle, though. Yeah, but some of your command abilities are really good.
That's true. It's once per battle round. It's not all full off. It's
it's once per battle round. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. So it's going both ways.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's a free one each round then. It's not just one. Armor of Scorn. Roll dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer. Add 2 to the roll. If that wound or mortal wound was caused by a spell on a 6+, the wound or mortal wound is ignored.
So you get a 6-up shrug and a 4-up against magic.
Against magic, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Mark of the Blood Reaper. You can reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks target the bearer. It's pretty good. Collar of Khorne. You can bearer can attempt to unbind 1 spell in each enemy hero phase, the same manner as a wizard. In addition, the bearer can attempt to dispel an endless spell at the start of your hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. And then Crimson Soulstone. Each time an attack is made by the bearer with a melee weapon slays an enemy hero or monster, you can heal up to D3 wounds. That's really good for a Khorne
big
guy.
Yeah.
Getting any kind of healing is a huge deal. And you wouldn't be able to mix these two, though. I feel like that's going to be the most popular one, the hit on 2s. But getting wounds back is also a big deal. Although with Khorne demons, a lot of times you get better as you get angrier.
Well, you always want to just keep fighting.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I might get 2 extra attacks, or I might just be on the board still.
Yeah, and you can't bring in the Emerald Life Storm because you don't have any wizards.
Yes.
You do have your prayers, though, which we'll get to later on. Mark of the Slayer, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with the melee weapons by friendly Khorne units wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. So that's... this makes it go also on mortals, right?
Oh, it's just Khorne units.
Yeah. That's right, because that's Khorne units now. So it's everybody as opposed to just being the demons that can reroll nearby.
Right.
Blood Blessings of Khorne. So here's in addition to any other prayers they can chant, your priests are going to be able to pick one of these. So you've got the Bronzed Flesh. Well, that's cool. At the start of your hero phase, one friendly model that knows this prayer can chant it. If they do so, make a prayer roll by rolling a die. On a 1, the mortal chanting this prayer suffers a mortal wound, and the prayer is not answered because Khorne gets mad.
Yep.
On a 2 to 3, it's not answered. On a 4+, the prayer is answered. If this prayer is answered, pick one friendly Khorne unit within 16 inches of the model chanting and visible to them, and get +1 save. That's pretty cool. So you can do that to demons because it's just a Khorne unit.
Yep.
Give them all +1 saving throw.
Give it to Warriors of Chaos with shields.
Yep.
Who are marked with Khorne.
And your big free terrain piece also.
But it gives, I think it's +2.
It buffs your prayers. Yeah. So it's meaning that you're able to throw these prayers around like crazy.
Yep.
Blood sacrifice. At the start of your hero phase from the Monk and Pray. Same 4+. It's answered. If the prayer is answered, pick a friendly Khorne unit holy within 8 inches of the model chanting. That unit receives D3 mortal wounds, and you receive a blood point. So you can get a blood point basically from your units.
Right.
If you want one for whatever reason. Resanguination, also 4+, with a 1 being a fail and 1 being a mortal wound and 2/3 being a fail. If it's answered, pick a friendly Khorne hero wholly within 16 of the model chanting this prayer and visible to them. They can heal D3 wounds. There you go. There's your healing for your big guys if you need it. 16-inch range throwing heals around.
On top of your equipment that could heal more.
Then you've got Brazen Fury. At the start of your hero phase, one friendly model that knows this prayer can chant it. If they do so, and you might know that wording is actually really important, because it's one friendly model that knows this prayer can chant it. So it means you can't do it more than once per turn.
Right.
Right. None of these prayers can be done more than once per turn because of that wording. If it's answered, pick a friendly core unit wholly within 16 of the model chanting this prayer and visible to them. They don't take battle shock. It's pretty cool. Brazen Fury. Then Killing Frenzy. Wholly within 16. Add 1 of the hit rolls for attacks with that unit until your next hero phase. And Spellbane Hex. If it's answered, you can dispel 1 endless spell within 16 of this model chanting this prayer. They're all on 4+. 2s and 3s fail.
There you go.
Your Judgments of Khorne. So the Judgments of Khorne are the endless spells for Khorne, basically. They operate in much the same way. The Warscroll Phase 3 are in the back, and instead of Khorne Priest from your army, can summon each of these to the battlefield instead of doing a prayer. This is called a Judgment Roll. Each Judgments of Khorne Warscroll explains the Judgment Roll required and how they're set up. So they're pretty much like prayers, and then they show up on the battlefield. Khorne Priest cannot attempt to summon more than one Judgment of Khorne at the same turn. If a Khorne Priest attempts to summon a Judgment of Khorne and the judgment is not successful, then no other Khorne Priest can attempt to summon one in that same hero phase.
Right.
At the end of the battle round, roll a dice for the Judgment of Khorne on the battlefield that you set up. Add 1 to the roll if there are any Khorne Priests within 8 inches. On a 1 to 4, the Judgment of Khorne is removed from the battlefield. So they go away on their own, basically.
Yeah, because they're not dispelled. Yeah, because they're not spells.
Not spells. Yeah, so they have to maintain them by having the priest nearby, and they stay on a 4+ if he's standing there.
5+.
That's right.
1 to 4, they go away.
That's right. Yeah.
So 5 up to stay.
It's 1 to 4. They're 5 to stay all the time. +1 if there's a Khorne.
Oh, I see.
That's why it's a 4+.
If you have at least 1 priest nearby.
You got it. Yeah. Judgments of Khorne have pitch battle profiles, and you pay points for them. Basically,
yeah. You can't take 2 of the same one.
You get your free Skull Altar. So, as is tradition now, I think since the Idneth book, that's the first one I could think of. They got the Gloomtide Shipwreck. Oh, I guess it would be the Sylvaneth book actually, because they get free trees.
The trees, yeah.
I guess the free trees are the first one probably in AOS, and this is the most recent
5th one.
I can't think of in Sylvaneth. Sylvaneth was an old book. It's like an original book. I'm just talking about when they started.
Gavos.
Yeah.
I'm missing one. I don't know.
Stormcast don't get one.
Maybe this is number 4. Feels like no the
Herdstone. The Herdstone.
Oh, Herdstone. Yeah. And then I was going to say the Nurgle guys got their trees.
They got the trees. That's right.
Yep.
So there's at least 6 or 7 of these around now. But you get Skull Altar, and it's free. Doesn't cost any points. It's set up after territories have been chosen, but before armies have been set up. You can set up the Skull Altar with your army. Wholly within your territory and more than 1 inch from other terrain features. If both players can set up any terrain features, you roll off to see who goes first. So wholly within your territory is cool, not deployment zone. So if your territory is up to half the table, this thing can be all the way up there, and you can run up onto it.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
And the -1 to all wizards while they're within 16 of it to cast.
It's pretty legit.
And it's just always going to be there.
Yeah, that's right. So scenery rolls, it's got Words of Hate as much as the platform for violence. Reroll Prayer and Judgment rolls for friendly Khorne Priests within 8 inches of it, so you can reroll.
Yep.
It's a obstacle, so you do get cover if it's blocking against shooting. If you're on top of it and it's blocking line of sight, just like a was an Azerite Ruin or something like that.
Right.
It'll give shooting cover. And then you got Witchbane. Subtract 1 from casting rolls for wizards while they're within 16 inches. But it works both ways. It's just
you don't have any wizards.
Well, I mean, you could ally one in.
I guess you could ally
right? Like, you have 400 points allies. You could easily bring one in. Although I'm sure Khorne would smite you for doing so.
Yes. You've lost the plot if you're bringing your wizard with your all Khorne army.
Listen. People do strange things.
I guess.
You got your Reapers of Vengeance. These are your different hosts, basically your storm hosts for the Khorne guys, and just like the enclaves for the Idnith or the storm hosts for the Stormcast. You get like a thing you have to take and a thing that you don't have to take. So. Your abilities, so you Devour the Craven for the Reapers of Vengeance. If any friendly unit fails a battle shock test within 3 inches of any friendly Reapers of Vengeance demon units, add D3 to the number of models that flee, because they just get run down. Your command ability, you can use this command ability at the start of your combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Reapers of Vengeance demon unit, wholly within 8 inches. I think what happened here is they added 2 mortal and 2 demon enclaves, basically. So previously the demons didn't have them, and that's what these 2 are. After that unit's fought in the combat phase for the first time, if it's within 3 inches of the enemy unit, it can immediately make a pile-in move and then attack with all of its melee weapons and its arm width for a second time. So...
That's a real good one.
Yeah. I don't know what Scarbrand is, but you can definitely have a Reaper's of Vengeance Bloodthirster.
Or even like a unit of Blood Crushers, because you know they're going to be good.
Well, your hit on 2 Super Bloodthirster, rerolling ones to hit, might like to fight twice in a phase.
Yeah.
And then you got your command traits. That's your command ability, command trait. Mage Eater, the general that can attempt to what is it? You must have this command trait too. So you can't pick a different one now. You have to have this one. General can attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. In addition, this general attempts to unbind a spell, and the unmodified unbinding is an 8. That spell is successfully unbound, and the cash takes D6 mortal wounds.
D6 mortal wounds too. So you could just die from trying to cast.
Yep, it's just gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Artifacts of Power, your Skull Shard Mantle. Each time the bearer is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a dice. If you do so on a 2+, ignore the effects of the spell on the bearer. Just a 2+ save against spells. Yikes. So we got the Bloodlords. Their abilities are Slay the Mighty. You roll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Bloodlord demon units to target a hero or monster. It's pretty cool.
Oh man.
So now you roll 1
I'm looking at that Bloodthirster. Yeah,
he's pretty great.
Incarnate Rage, I think it is.
It was the D6 damage one.
Yeah.
You can also get
the two-handed axe guy. Every time you'll see it. This is his trait, I'm thinking. I don't know a lot about demons, but this is what I would do.
If he's not an ally and he's using the Blades of Khorne like traits, he rerolls the ones to hit all the time. If he's an ally, he's rerolling them on the charge because he has that ability. Yeah. And now he's rerolling ones to wound as well.
So he's hitting on
against heroes and monsters.
Yeah.
Against the things you really, really want to hit.
Yeah.
So 2's rerolling ones, 2's rerolling ones.
And every 6 is 4 mortal wounds in addition to D6 damage.
Command ability, first in his sight. You can use this command ability at the start of the hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly model with this command ability. You can heal 1 wound allocated each friendly Bloodlord's demon unit, wholly within 16. So he gets to just heal everybody. And then your command traits, you must use these ones if it's going to be this this faction. Slaughterer's Thirst, add 4 to the move characters for this general. In addition, you can reroll charge rolls for the general.
Yep.
Yeah!
And all Bloodthirsters are 10-inch move flying monsters.
Yeah, another 14-inch move flying monsters. That's
rerolling the charge.
Pretty great. Artifact of Power, Halo of Blood. The bearer fights at the start of the combat phase. 4 players pick any other unit to fight in that combat phase. The bearer cannot fight again in that combat phase unless the ability or spell allows them to do so. That's pretty great.
Which they have an ability that allows them to do so.
Wow, no, these guys do.
Well, anyone who's got Blood Tithe also does.
Did they have an addition? Was that one once per game? Or was that one all the time?
Maybe I'm misremembering now.
I
thought it cost 5 and they got to fight again.
They might have that one, yes. That one might have been once per game. Relentless Fury. No, it's the if they die, they fight.
Pick 1 Khorne unit within 3 inches of an enemy unit that can pile in and then attack with all of its melee weapons.
4. So there you go. For 4 Blood Tithe, you can make him fight twice.
Yeah.
And he fights first.
Yeah. So he fights first, kills 2 units. One of them's a hero.
That's true. Late game,
you just kill a bunch of stuff and then fight again and kill more stuff.
Late game, when there's like remnants of units nearby too, he might just do that. He might just murder a bunch of them.
But heroes and monsters are worth more, right?
Yeah. The Bloodlords look pretty great for if you're going to be bouncing around Greater Demons. If you like that big kit. And then you got our 2 mortal ones. The Gore-Tide. Abilities, you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by melee weapons by this friendly Gore-Tide mortal units, wholly within 12 inches of an objective marker. That's pretty cool, because it's not dependent on something that can probably die then.
Right.
Because having it be near an objective means that And it's a 12-inch pulse road too, so it's actually a big 24-inch circle. You're basically having most of the battlefield probably covered by an aura that
of an objective.
Lets them reroll lets them reroll ones to wound. Depending upon which mission you're playing. I mean, I guess the relocation orb would kind of suck because you'd have an aura moving around the table.
Yeah, but even then, it moves 12 inches. So, like, if you were within it at the beginning, unless it moved the opposite direction...
Well, if you're all 1 or 6, that keeps moving, remember? We've had it ping-pong all over the table. But yeah, no, it's that's a neat one.
We played that mission, Gloomspike Gits against Gloomspike Gits, with the relocation orb and the moon, and it was...
it was this madness. Your command ability is Ever Onwards. You can use this command ability before you make run rolls for unfriendly Gore-Tide Blood Reavers or Gore-Tide Blood Warriors unit wholly within 16 of a friendly model with this command ability. If you do so, the run roll streak is being a 6. In addition, that unit can run and still charge later in the turn. So basically, you're getting to double down on the press forward command ability that makes a run into a 6.
And then also charge.
And then also charge afterwards. Yeah. That's the big key there. That's still just costing you
flat 6 and then charge.
So it means you can have 2 units. Actually, you can have as many units flat 6 as you want. And you can now have as many units. Is this once per turn? No, you can do it as many times as you want. So as long as you got the points to do it, and you can convert blood points as well, you know guys running and charging. Hew the Foe. Your general must have this command trait. Add 1 of the damage characteristics of their melee weapon. Pretty good. Artifact Power. The first Go-Tide hero in your receiving artifact must get the Thronebreaker's Torque. Ignore modifiers, positive and negative, when making save rolls for attacks that target this model. So, it does mean, though, that he can't be affected by the prayer to give him plus saves. But it does mean that he gets a...
I mean, if you give it to a dude who has a shield, because then he's re-rolling 1s.
Yeah.
And if you can...
4's re-rolling 1s. He's basically Mystic Shielded all the time.
Unless there's a guy in here who's 3s, which I doubt.
I don't think there's any 3s. No, that's Stormcast level armor, unfortunately. The Skull Fiend Tribe, Skull Hunters. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Skull Fiend Tribe Immortal units that are wholly within 12 inches of an enemy hero. So they get crazy because they go after the skulls. Command ability for the Brass Citadel. You can use this command ability at the start of your combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly model with this command ability until the end of that phase. You can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Skull Fiend Tribe Korgoraths, wholly within 10 inches. And the Korgorath's pretty great.
And reroll everything.
Yeah, and they just whip into frenzy. So the Korgoraths, although there still isn't a Korgorath model available outside that star set. So it's just in the star collecting box right now because it's just the star set miniature, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the only one you can buy is still the one from the star set, which means that having big units of them is pretty hard. But it's an awesome model, and they were a lot of them floating around eBay because people were playing the Stormcast. Everyone wants the Stormcast. Command trait: a Skullfield Tribe's general must have this trait. Master Decapitator. You receive 2 blood dive points instead of 1 when your general slays a hero. And your artifact power, the first one you get must be the Crown Cleaver. Pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons. Add 2 to the attack characteristics. That's pretty great. So +2 attacks. We got a battle plan for special Khorne stuff.
Bloodstorm, the feast of what was that? Wrath, or was it Gore? Wrath, Gore, Bloody.
It reminded me of the Simpsons video game, Bone Storm.
Yeah.
All I do is enter my name, Thrill Ho. Got your whatchamacallit, your warband tables and stuff for your rewards for Path to Glory. And we got some Warscroll battalions. This is the last stuff we're going to focus on before we move on to the judgments that you can call down and the point values and stuff. So Warscroll Battalion, the Blood Legion, has to have a Blood Host inside of it, and it's 3 to 7 Murder Hosts, Blood Thunder Stampedes, Tyrants of Blood, Blood Hunters, Gore Thunder Cohorts, Charnel Hosts, or Skull Seeker Hosts in any combination. So basically 3 of the following bunch of stuff. You get Skulls with the Skull Throne as your ability, and when this unit from this battalion uses their Decapitating Blow ability, it inflicts mortal wounds on a 5+ instead of a 6. That's pretty cool. Murder Host has to be a Bloodletter hero, and 3 to 8 units of Bloodletters, Flesh Hounds, Blood Crushers, or Skull Cannons in any combination. Basically 3 core demon units.
Yeah, this is your hero plus some stuff.
Yeah. Add 2 to run and charge rolls for units from this battalion when they are wholly within 16 of a Bloodletter hero from the same battalion.
This one's pretty funny, though. Cool. The Stampede.
The Blood Thunder Stampede. Skullmaster Herald of Khorne, and 3 to 8 Blood Crusher units. Obliterating Charge. The Murderous Charge and Slaughterous Charge abilities used by units from this battalion automatically inflict mortal wounds after a model finishes a charge roll instead of inflicting mortal wounds on a roll of 2+. So you just auto do mortal wounds.
Yeah, you remove that chance of failure.
Which is pretty cool. No more rolling ones. The Tyrants of Blood. 3 to 8 Bloodthirsters. That's a thing.
I guess.
I mean, they're only about 380, 350 points each.
You're only allowed to bring 4 in most games.
Yeah, 4 behemoths, which means
that's it.
And only one of them hit on 2+.
and one of them is also Scarbrand. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. But I guess you could, and it's bold Bloodthirsters, so Scarbrand could be one of them because he does have the Bloodthirster keyword.
Right.
Fierce Rivals. After a model from this battalion is fought in the combat phase for the first time, you can pick another model from the same battalion that has not yet fought in the combat phase and is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, and they immediately fight before you get to pick somebody. So it lets you go first with all your Bloodthirsters, basically, if they haven't fought yet.
Right.
And then they can't fight again. Before the opposing model, the model fights immediately before the opposing player picks a unit to fight in combat phase. That model cannot fight again, unless an ability or spell lets you do it. So you can spend Blood Tithe points to do it again, but that's it.
Yep.
The Blood Hunt, Karanak, which is the big character blood or flesh hound, yeah, and then a Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster, and 3 to 8 units of flesh hounds or blood crushers in any combination. Add 1 of the wound rolls for attacks made by units from this battalion in the targeted hero. Nah. That's okay. I mean,
it's a guy and his dogs going out to kill heroes.
It's literally what it is. It's Ramsey Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. There's so much stuff that procs off heroes, and the fact that there's typically, unless you're playing against goblins, only going to be 6 of those on the table ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And your opponent can control how many there are too. There might only be 1. I don't. Anything that
there's always going to be 1. But that's it.
But that's
that
it,
might
right?
only
and
be
then
one.
It might just be 1. So, like, trying to pick abilities that affect heroes doesn't seem great.
Heroes and monsters are littered in this book, and it all depends if your opponent brought heroes and monsters. Yeah. So
you want stuff that just affects everything.
Yeah. Well, just affects you is really what you want.
I mean, just it's as useful.
It's not dependent on other people or things.
Things, you got it. The Gore Thunder Cohort. Jeez. A Herald of Khorne on a Blood Throne, and 3 to 8 units of wacky skull cannons. This is the wacky motorcycle gang. Their abilities are Cannons of Khorne. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by missile weapons by skull cannons from this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of a Herald of Khorne on Blood Throne from the same battalion. So it lets you reroll your shooting attacks with your Khorne army. Yeah.
I mean, I guess, if you want to be that guy.
We haven't looked too closely with the stats for that. That might be really good. You never know.
That doesn't matter.
You can do it in melee too.
It just doesn't matter though.
Okay, it's not Bloodthirsters.
You're not doing the.
You're not doing
playing it right.
Yeah, it's true. Your Blood Host is a Bloodthirster and 7 or more units from Bloodletter heroes or Bloodthirsters, Bloodletters, Blood Crushers, Skull Cannons, or Flesh Hounds, any combination. So a Bloodthirster and 7 units, 8 units basically is your Blood Host. And has to have a Bloodthirster. You can reroll charge rolls for units from this battalion while they're wholly within 16 inches of a Bloodthirster in the same battalion. The Charnel Host, and that's going to be a Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, a Bloodmaster Herald of Khorne, and 3 to 8 units of Bloodletters. So basically your battle line plus those 2 things if you want. Yep. You can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by units from this battalion that are wholly within 16 inches of a Bloodthirster.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so now you're doing 1s to hit and 1s to hit.
You're doing what that other guy was doing, but now it's against everybody.
It's against everybody all the time. That's going to be a popular one because it's just reroll 1s.
For the other ones add 1 to wound. Yeah, all right, that's fair.
And they can't be in the same. They can't be.
No, I know. I was thinking of the like. I think this one's better.
I think one's better too. Skullseeker Host, Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage, a Herald of Khorne on Blood Throne, 2 to 5 units of Blood Crushers, and 1 to 3 units of Skull Cannons. And it's the Giant Killers. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by units from this battalion that target a monster. Again, depending upon what your opponent brings.
And the humans.
Here's our humans. This is our human side. The big human battalion. It's going to be a Mighty Lord of Khorne on Juggernaut, Scar, Bloodwrath, Korgos Cool, or Valky the Bloody. A Gork Chosen battalion, a Blood Mad Warband, 3 to 7 Blood Mad Warbands, Bloodforged, Brass Scorpions, Dark Feasts, Gore Pilgrims, basically whatever the rest of them are.
A lot of these are actually pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like, just reading these, Gore Chosen is your Exalted Deathbringer, and 7 Exalted Deathbringers, Aspiring Deathbringers, Slaughter Priests, Skull Grinders, Blood Stokers, or Blood Secrators in any combination.
So 8 characters, which you couldn't legally take in a 2001 game.
Yeah, but they all get +1 attack.
Yeah, but you'll never see the Gore Chosen one, because you can't take 8 characters.
Well, there you go. And then the Brass Stampede is the Lord of Khorne on a Jugger, and then 3 to 7 units of Skull Crushers, which are Juggers, but humans.
You might see that one because they're battle line.
And they're sweet looking.
Yeah.
But they basically get the same thing. Murderous Charge and Slaughterhouse Charge become automatic instead of auto 2. It is a copy-paste. I think it's even Obliterating Charge, I think, was the name of the other one, too. Actually, Brass Stampede was the same name, too. All right, so it's just the same one, but human. Human edition.
The Dark Feast. Slaughter Priest, Bloodstoker, 3 to 6 units of Blood Reavers.
Add 1 to their attacks of their melee weapons by Blood Reavers.
And throw in 16 of a Slaughter Priest. Hooray! Bonus attacks.
For all your duders.
Blood Mad Warband, Aspiring Deathbringer, Blood Secretor, 3 units of Blood Warriors, 1 to 2 units of Blood Reavers, and a unit of Skull Reapers. Add one attack characteristic of melee weapons used by this unit from the battalion in which they made a charge move. So it's not dependent upon the range of a hero, which is good. They just charge to get +1 attack.
Yep.
The Red Headsman, Aspiring Deathbringer, Skull Grinder, or 3 to 6 units of Blood Warriors. Each time an enemy hero or monster is slain by an attack made by this unit, the battalion, you receive an initial blood type point. Again,
depending on enemies.
All the hero and monster stuff is good, but your value is going to go up and down on it, so I don't see the point in paying points for it. You know what I mean?
You're almost at the one. Slaughterborn is looking good.
Yeah.
All right, do Skull Take.
Skull Take, 1 Bloodstoker, 2 to 3 units of Skull Reapers, 1 to 2 units of Korgoraths, and 0 to 2 units of Blood Warriors or Blood Reavers in any combination. If the unmodified wound roll for attack by a melee weapon is a 6, and that it's wholly within 12 inches of a Bloodstoker from the same battalion, add 1 to their damage. It's pretty cool. 6 to wound or 2 damage, or extra damage, basically. And then Slaughterborn?
1 Exalted Deathbringer, 2 to 4 units of Skull Reapers, 1 to 3 units of Blood Warriors. Worsen the rend characteristic of melee weapons used for attacks that target a unit from this battalion by 1 to a minimum of 0.
That's awesome.
Yes, plus it's essentially +1 armor against rend.
Yes, yeah. Because they're all 4+ saves, too. Because it's Skull Reapers and Blood Warriors. They have 4+ save space, and that's pretty solid. There's some stuff in there that, because you don't get a Mystic Shield, but you could also make them +1 save if you want to prey on them.
Yep.
So if you take a big fat unit, you can give them 3+ saves that's immune to rend.
Yep.
So that's pretty great.
Yep.
And then you got your Gore Pilgrims, Blood Secretor, 2 to 3 Slaughter Priests, 1 to 2 units of Blood Warriors, and 1 to 2 units of Blood Reavers. And it is Widening the Rift.
Yep.
Add 8 inches to the range of the
Loathsome Sorcery and Rage of Khorne.
Used by this battalion's Blood Secretor while they're wholly within 8 inches of any Slaughter Priest from the same battalion. So that's going to make you able to... The Loathsome Sorcery thing, I think it stops spells. And then the other one is your +1 to save. So it just increases the range of the banner, basically, which is pretty cool. And your Bloodforged, a Skull Grinder, 2 to 4 units of Wrathmongers, and 1 to 3 units of Blood Warriors. And they have Feast of Wrath. Immediately after, a unit of Wrathmongers from this battalion has fought in the combat phase. For the first time that phase, if that unit's within 3 inches of any enemy models, and wholly within 8 inches of a Skull Grinder, that unit can immediately make a pile-in and then fight again. That's pretty cool. So you can fight twice, basically, for your Wrathmongers when they're within 8 inches of a Skull Grinder. So, but you'd have to find a way of having them all 2 to 4 units of them be within 8 of 1 Skull Grinder. So, like, I guess a unit on each side.
Just send them in waves. First unit goes in, double fights, dies. Second unit comes in, double fights, dies.
Yeah. I mean, so they'd each be able to double fight, though, which is pretty crazy.
If you could get them all in there, yeah.
All in a range.
Units.
That's it. We're into units. So again, we're not going to go through the units. You guys can all go to the AOS app and look at them right now, because the day this comes out is always the day they update the app. But let's look at some of the cool stuff. The Hex Gorger Skulls. This is the Judgments. It's a Judgment of Khorne. So summon Hex Forger Skulls. At the start of your hero phase, 1 friendly Khorne priest can attempt to perform a judgment. If they do so, make a judgment roll. On a 3+, the judgment roll is successful, and you can reroll this. Remember, if you're near that train,
Your skull, your altar of skulls.
If it's successful, set up the Hex Gorger Skull models within 6 inches of each other and wholly within 8 of the Khorne priest. They are compelled by hate. When this judgment is set up, the player who set it up can immediately make a move with it. In addition, at the start of each of their subsequent hero phases, the player who set up this judgment can make a move roll with it if it's still in the battlefield. So this doesn't trade back to your opponent the way an Endless Spell does if you're going second.
Yep.
The player that sets it up gets to move it. When you move this judgment, it can move to 8 inches and can fly. Both models from this judgment must finish their move within 6 inches of each other. The Hex Gorger, subtract 2 from the casting rolls for wizards while they're within 12 inches of the Hex Gorger Skulls. In addition, if a wizard attempts to cast a spell while he's within 12 inches of both models from the judgment, and the casting rolls an 8, that casting attempt is not successful, the wizard no longer knows that spell, and each wizard within 12 inches of that judgment takes d6 mortal wounds. So all the wizards within 12 inches, it goes away, the spell does, and they all take d6 mortal wounds.
Yep.
That's bananas.
If you roll an 8, it's on a -2 to cast, but then if you happen to roll an 8, it just kills everybody nearby.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Bleeding Icon. Judgment of Khorne, at the start of your hero phase, pick a Khorne Priest. This one's on a 4+, the roll is successful, so not all the same, not all on 3+. If the Judgment roll is successful, you can set this up wholly within 8 inches of any of that Khorne Priest, sorry. It's a Drifting Menace. When this judgment set up, the player who set it up can immediately make a move with it. In addition, the start of each of their subsequent hero phases, the player that set up the judgment can make a move with it if it's still in the battlefield. When you move this judgment, it can move to 8 inches, can fly. Crushing Retribution. After this model has moved, each unit that has any models it passed across, and each other unit that was with 1 inch of it takes D3 mortal wounds. At the end of its move, sorry. 1 inch at the end of its move. And then Sigil of Doom. If a unit fails a battle shock test within 3 inches of any model's this ability, add D3 to the number that flee. This ability has no effect on Khorne units. So it doesn't scare the Khorne guys, but everybody else takes D3 extra fleas. And then the Wrath Axe, which you wouldn't be Khorne with a giant axe. Starting your hero phase, you can summon it on a 5+. If it's successful, set up with an 8 inch of that Khorne Priest. Abilities: Flung with Fury. When this judgment's set up, the player who move it can move it, and same at the start of each subsequent hero phase. It goes 8 inches and can fly. Of course, they all move 8 inches because it's Khorne. Hatred's Edge. The supernatural blade scrapes along the ground. After this model has moved, roll a die for each unit that has any models it passed across. 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Then the player that set up the model picks one enemy unit within 3 inches of the models and rolls a die. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffers D6 mortal wounds.
So everybody takes D3 on 2+, and then you pick another one to take D6 on a 2+.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. At the end of it, basically, take D6.
Oh.
So you move across everyone's D3, and then a unit within 3 at the end of its move takes D6.
Look at that last ability, though.
Cleaved Reality. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by units within 3 inches of this model. The ability has no effect on Khorne units.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
I love me my -1 to hits.
Your debuffs. If only goblins could take Khorne's axe.
If only.
And then we got our pitch battle profiles. Points-wise, looks like Skull Cannons are 140. Bloodletters are 110 or 30 for 300. Blood Reavers are 70 for 10, 240 for 40. Blood Warriors are 100 for 5, and then 30 for 520. Jeez, it's a big unit. Aspiring Deathbringer is 80. The Bloodmaster Herald of Khorne is 80. Blood Secretor is 140. Bloodstoker is 80. Exalted Deathbringer is 80. Herald of Khorne and Bloodthorn is 120. Karanak is 140. Corvus Cool is 180. Yeah, 180. Yep. Lord of Khorne on Juggernaut's 160. Mighty Lord of Khorne is 140. Skyle is 100. Scar Bloodwrath is going to be 120. Skullgrinder's 80. Skullmaster Herald of Khorne is 120. Skulltaker's 120. It's the same price as the Herald of Khorne. It's pretty cool. Slaughter Priest is 100. Valky is 120. Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage is only 280.
He is the cheapest of three, or the three, yeah.
Scarbrand. Unfettered Fury is only 300.
Yep.
That's pretty cheap for what he does.
Wrath of Khorne is 320.
Yeah. Scarbrand is 400, and then the Wrath of Khorne one, is 320. Blood Crushers are 140 for 3. Flushhounds are 5 for 100. Quarterwraths are 1 for 100. You can take up to 6 as a unit. Mighty Skull Crushers are 3 and 180. Skull Reapers are 5 for 180. Wrathmongers are 5 for 140. Garrix Reavers are 60. Riptooth is 40. Megor's Fiends are 80, so 120 for the unit because they have to be all taken together.
You're only allowed to bring 1 unit of Garrix Reavers as well.
Well, that's because they're
named unit. Yeah.
And then your Warscroll battalions, the Blood Host is 180, Blood Hunt is 120, Blood Legion is 120, Bloodbound Warhorde is 150, Blood Forged is 120, Blood Mad Warband is 160, the Blood Thunder Stampede is 140, the Brass Stampede is 140, the Charnel Host is 140, the Dark Feast is at 110, the Gore Pilgrims are 140, the Gore Chosen are 110, Gore Thunder Cohort is 120, the Murder Host is 160, the Red Headsman are 120, Skull Seeker Host is 120, Skull Take is 140, Slaughterborn are 180, Tyrants of Blood are 140, your Tyrants of Blood, so your Skull Altar is 0 because it's free, comes with the army. And then your Judgments are the Bleeding Icon for 40, the Hexscourger Skulls for 40, and the Wrath Axe is 60.
That's cheap.
It's the same price as Pendulum and all that stuff.
Oh, I suppose.
For your allies, Beasts of Chaos, Everchosen, Monsters of Chaos, Nurgle, Slaves of Darkness, Slash units cannot be taken as allies for a Khorne army.
There you go.
Even if it's Chaos, nothing with the Marcus Slaanesh, because he hates Slaanesh, which is cool. Or Slaanesh, however you pronounce it locally to where you are. Potato, tomato. And there it is. There's our look at the new Blades of Khorne. And like I said, if you guys want to see any of the specific stat lines and stuff, see what's changed, go check out the app today. It'll have all of the new hot point, or not point values, but stat lines in there for you to check out. So thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews in the future. This was an interesting one, mostly because it was a change from the old one and add some new stuff. So I'm really hoping we see more of these in the near future. I'd like my Sylvan to get a new book, and that'd be pretty cool. With just like updated stuff, maybe some new models, endless spells, something cool like that.
Just want new everything. I just want new Sylvan. My Sylvan are very good.
I just want a second edition.
I want new goblins. Better goblins.
But you just got
double down on the goblins. I want goblin houses.
Okay, if I was gonna rank the things I want the most, I want humans. I want actual humans.
Yes, I do want a free folk faction.
Not free, but even not. It could be free folk. I just want like order mortals. You know what I mean? Like I want a whole mixed battalion or like it'll have a new name. It'll be like something of Sigmar. You know what I mean? Or like the mortal people basically. Well, but put the dispossessed in there. I think it'd be awesome.
Yep.
Like it would mean you didn't have to do a whole dispossessed army. It should just be like the mortal like order troops basically in one army. I think it'd be super cool.
Yeah.
And then I want just to see the first edition books come back to second edition because there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but a lot of those armies are pretty flat. Like there's not a lot of units in the Sylvaneth army. There's not a lot of units in the Idoneth army. There's not a lot of units in the Daughters of Cain army even, right? Because they were late second edition or late first edition books. Yeah. And they took like a very slim model line and added like 1 or 2 kits to it to make it new. So the Khorne one is probably the longest because it took all the demons from 8th edition and then added a pile of mortals that started in 8th edition. Because all those big Blood Warrior guys, the Skull Reapers and the Wrath Monitors,
they were the first guys into the Age of Sigmar.
No, they were from End Times. They were in End Times, and then the Blood Warriors. Not this guy. The Blood Warrior stuff. All the Gorchos and stuff. Stuff
like the two-handed axe wielding guys and
But the chain flow guys and the big axe guys, they're all from the End Times.
That's right. I remember.
Along with the Bloodthirsters, I'm pretty sure too. They were actually in the End Times.
They were in that because it was when the Putrid Blight Kings came out. That was all the same.
It was all the big 40 mil base Chaos guys that were for End Times. So this has done a good job of amalgamating new kits and old kits, but it has a lot more new kits, I think, than some of the armies do, like the Daughters of Cain and stuff like that. So I just like to see more things get this treatment. You know what I mean? Where they get something that makes them unique, and they get some more Age of Sigmar based
the blue and the gold instead of the black and the gold. Then you know they're new.
What do you mean?
I'm just looking at the titles.
Oh, this, yeah. Well, it literally it's shocking how they grimdarked the title a little bit. It looks so much better. I really like this.
Is that what it is? That's the grimdark version?
This is the grimdark version, yeah. Versus the shiny version, because this is more 1980s Warhammer logo versus this, which is a little more like grimy and it's got the blue and stuff in it. That's the old one.
I recognize it's the old one. Yeah. I just don't see how the new one is more grimdark.
I feel like
there's not enough black.
Yeah, but
if we're measuring on a model by skull basis,
it's got like a patina to it. I like it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll see you for more GMG reviews in the future. Next time, I'm Ash. This is Owen. Happy Wargaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.